So what I want to talk about now is how I plan to cut these planes on the top so that I get a nice smooth surface, mating surface between the top of this piece and the table. So a couple things. This table itself is level. I mean, not NASA level, but it's pretty level. So I've gone and checked the table here for level, right? You got level there, right? I'm level here. If I wasn't level, you know, I might shim up whichever side I thought so that I got a nice level surface. But since I'm level, what I'm going to do is to take, basically I figured out what this distance is here, right? And I've got a piece of spacer wood that's going to get me, you know, just below this edge here. And so what I'm going to come in and do is simply take the pencil, you know, and draw myself a line here, right? And that's going to tell me basically the angle in the cut. So I'm going to do this on, you know, all three pieces, and I probably should do it on, you know, on the back side also. I mean, lengthen the pencil a little bit, but you know, very quick, very easy way to get an accurate parallel plane from this tabletop to the piece. I would tell you that, recommend that there will be slight variations between each angle. So don't just set your angle at, you know, a 30-degree bevel and 45 degrees and expect to cut all three. They're going to vary a little bit when you put them together. So mark them all, and then, you know, take it to your chop saw, your table saw, and make the cut. One thing, just as a note on sort of jerry-rigging this thing, is I did cut a little bit of a groove in the bottom here just to make sure the pencil was seated and didn't roll around on me when I put it together. I would recommend doing the best you can to mark all the way around, because when you put it in your table saw or your chop saw, you know, you may not be able to get one angle versus the other. So try to get both sides of the piece if you can. Long of a pencil does magic. Be careful when you make your pencil longer that it doesn't deform and bend on you and make your, try to keep that thing straight. All right. It should be good. Okay, so I've got my planes cut, and then I'll go cut this either on the table saw or the chop saw. I would say that I tried to cut it before on the table saw, and I found that it was a little dangerous. I felt to try to get that angle and get the workpiece on the table. So I'm going to probably try to look at the chop saw and see if I can cut that on there a little safer. So I want to talk a little bit about cutting the tops. You see I've gone ahead and cut the tops flush up here. You know, the table's level. I still need to do the bottom. And I want to talk a little bit about some hints or some issues you're going to find. Just because of this joint is not a strong joint at all, right? That if you could take this and assemble it and disassemble it, you know, 15 times, you're going to get a different sort of angled configuration each time, right? And so when you cut this, these, you know, as much as you can try, these tops, if you get down and look at it, are not going to be exactly flush with the underside of this table. Even after you trace it and put it back together, it's going to be a little bit off. A couple things I'd recommend, right? If that really bothers you and you want to have it perfect, an easier shortcut is, instead of doing it flat, is to you know, to do a rounded top, right? And when you do that, you're guaranteed that it's going to be, you know, perfectly contacting the top, because you have the arc of the circle or the half circle, and it will hit wherever it hits, right? So that's an easy way. You can also they've got a little rubber clear called a nipple, or a little button that you can put on the top of the wood underneath the glass, which the glass will sit on, which will keep it more secure, but will also, in essence, hide any non-contacted surface right here, right? So that's one way to get around it. If you do want to try to dial it in and get it really close, what I would recommend is you cut it. You know, you're going to find that the angle, you know, is, say, 45 degrees or 46 degrees or 44 degrees along the major cut, and then the bevel here may be around 35, 36, 37 degrees. Whatever you end up cutting it as you dial it in, write those two angles down, because you're not going to remember on all three pieces what is the right angle. So just take a pencil, write it on here, right? And then if you want to come back, like this particular piece seems to be hitting on the inside versus the outside, so I could come back and take that angle from, you know, 45 degrees to 44 or 43 degrees to try to get both the front and the back touching. But so when you cut it, after you cut it, write the final dimension on up here, and then when you put it together, if you have to tweak it, you'll remember on this particular piece what the angle was. And then once you're happy with it, you can sand it. But I would highly recommend, don't get this close and then cut the bottom and then put it back together. And if you need to do any tweaking, do it at that point. But once you take it apart to cut the bottom, what you may find is what was not touching is now touching, and something that was touching is not touching, right? So net is, you know, plan on this being a little bit off, a little bit of gaps, right? And use some of those little rubber sticky things on top to basically hide that, and write the angles on in pencil after you finish cutting, in case you have to go back and tweak something.